Hello, my name is Holland Timmons, also known as the Connoisseur on this channel, and this is more of a fan request type video to do the top 10 fiction and fantasy books I've read. So I will start with fantasy, then go into fiction. But, yeah. I think I'll start with number 1 and go down to number 10. Actually, no, scratch that. I'll do it in reverse just a second. I have the books right here. Okay, so number 10, Make Love the Bruce Campbell Way by Bruce Campbell. This is a very funny book. Completely fictional, a complete work of fantasy, but it's hilarious. I would totally recommend checking it out, especially if you want to laugh. Bruce Campbell is an amazing writer. If you like his movies, definitely check out his books. He has another one called If Chins Could Kill, Confessions of a B-Movie Actor. That one's the true story. Next one. Sherlock Holmes, The Hound of the Baskervilles. This is more of a Victorian-era horror story. It's a mystery. I would totally recommend this. It is in the top 100 books ever published for a reason. It's definitely my favorite Sherlock Holmes story. Sherlock Holmes and the supernatural go very well together. I don't know why, but it just does. Now we're going more into the fantasy. The Annotated Alice by Lewis Carroll. This is sort of a 2-for-1 type thing. This is number 8, I would say. Has both Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. I definitely appreciate the Alice stories by Lewis Carroll. Lewis Carroll, I forget his actual name, it's in there. Very strange man. I think he had Tourette's, but no, he was a hell of a writer. And let's see, that was number 8. Number 7, Eaters of the Dead by Michael Crichton. This is a book that follows an Arab ambassador in the year 922 AD. He encounters some Northmen and starts chronicling his adventures. Actually, it's based off an actual historical document, but once the historical document runs out, Michael Crichton's imagination takes over, and it turns into this realistic account of what would have happened with Beowulf. If you know Beowulf in the story, you'll definitely like Eaters of the Dead. I'll probably review the movie based on that book. It's called The 13th Warrior. Hollywood didn't want to make a movie called Eaters of the Dead. I don't know why. It's a cool title. But they went with The 13th Warrior. What can you do? Okay. Let's see, how many was that? 10, 9, 8, 7. Number 6, King Arthur and His Knights by Sir James Knowles. I know I reviewed this book already, but it's a really good book. A little bit politically correct for the Victorian era, but still a good comprehensive account of the legend of King Arthur, covering all aspects of every legend, from Arthur's origin to stuff like Tristan and Isolde, all the way till the final battle. and Arthur going on the boat to Valinor with Morgan Le Fay. It's a very comprehensive story. Okay, let's see. This is number 4, I believe. The Hobbit. Now, I haven't read this since middle school. I'm trying to reread it now. It's a lot easier than it was in middle school. Different from the movie, just so you know. All of J.R.R. Tolkien's works are different from the movies Peter Jackson made. Very good book. Bilbo is a hobbit, lives in a hole in the ground, meets Gandalf. He is whisked away on an adventure to reclaim treasure from a dragon. Things hardly go as planned, but nice adventure story. Now, there's another book. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I kind of screwed up the numbering, but Through the Looking Glass and Alice in Wonderland were separate numbers, so I screwed up the numbering. Let's see. 8 and 7 were Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. So number 6 was Eaters of the Dead. Number 5 was King Arthur and His Knights. Number 4 was The Hobbit. Number 3 is Lord of the Rings. I thought I'd put it at number 2. Lord of the Rings is number 2. The Hobbit would be number 3. I'm screwing up. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to redo the video. Number 3 is The Hobbit. Number 2 is Lord of the Rings. Most people watch the movies. The books are so much more detailed, and they go into a lot of stuff that the movies just don't have the time to cover. Even the extended cuts don't have the time to cover everything that's in the book. So yeah, there's that. And the number 1 fantasy book that is my favorite, I've read it twice. Some people have compared it to reading a brick. It's much easier to read the second time, but The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien, edited by Christopher Tolkien. This is a posthumous book. It was published after J.R.R. Tolkien's death. It was all arranged by his son Christopher Tolkien, who is the one person most qualified to edit his materials, especially after his death. So, yeah. Actually, if I had to, I'd reverse it. Number 4 would be The Hobbit. Number 3 would be Lord of the Rings. Number 2 would be The Silmarillion. And I don't have this book, but I've read the chapter in it. It's all the completed works. Number 1 would be Beren and Luthien, which is a chapter from The Silmarillion, but it's become its own book. And the story of Beren and Luthien is my favorite love story, so it's the fact that they've collected all the different versions of Beren and Luthien and put it together in a single book. Hands down, that has to be my favorite fantasy book, because not only do you get the finished version, but you get all the other drafts as well. So yeah, let's just go over it one more time, okay? So, number 10, Make Love the Bruce Campbell Way. Number 9, The Hound of the Baskervilles. Number 8, Alice in Wonderland. Number 7, Through the Looking Glass. Number 6, Eaters of the Dead. Number 5, King Arthur and His Knights. Number 4, The Hobbit. Number 3, The Lord of the Rings. number 2, The Silmarillion, and number 1, Of Beren and Luthien. I know that's a lot of J.R.R. Tolkien, but he's one of my favorite fantasy writers. Very detailed descriptions. I hope that one day I can be as good of a writer as him. Probably won't happen, but always aspire. It's one of my sayings. If you don't challenge the best, you won't be the best. So, remember that. If you don't challenge the best, you won't be the best. So, that is my top 10 fiction and fantasy novels. Again, I did this as a fan request, and if I confused you, I'm sorry, but I tried to clarify it at the end. Definitely novels worth checking out. If you want to read fantasy and fiction novels, I would recommend those. Those are the ones to check out. Alright, well, this is the Connoisseur, signing off. Peace.